You're on. What? You're on. Sorry. Whoops.
Hi, welcome to Face Living the Faith. I'm Phil Hill, and we're glad you joined us for this episode of Face to Face. Sorry, I was on the phone there and was kind of busy. David, thank you. David Goins is serving as our producer tonight, and I'm glad to welcome our special guest, Greg Hardison. Greg is our Director of Youth Ministries here at First Church, and we're glad that he's with us tonight. We want to remind you, put your little like, press the like button, like our broadcast this evening, and also click on share and invite your friends to join us. We're already getting some likes there. Anyway, we're glad that you're tuning in tonight, and because I think we have a really very program. Again, as always, as we're walking through this, type in your comments, share with us what's going on. Any questions you may have. We may not have all the answers, but as we save this broadcast, it will continue on throughout the week, and we'll be able to answer. In this episode of Face to Face, Living the Faith, we're going to talk about social media insanity. Boy, well, it's crazy with our cell phones and our iPads and our computers. We've come a long way. When I was a kid and in school, and we used to get in trouble for passing notes. Well, Facebook and Twitter and Instagram and Snapchat and all the rest are great and fun, but more and a good way to connect with our family and our friends. But man, we can get in trouble with it. Now we can send messages, but because we're not face to face, and this is something I just realized, that we feel hidden somehow, and it sure is a lot easier sometimes to have what we might call an inappropriate conversation, something that, you wouldn't want to show your mother. So we need to be thinking about that. You may have even seen on the news just this morning where the military is disciplining some of its nurses at a military hospital, where they were taking newborn babies and just moving their arms and making any gestures, sometimes very inappropriate things, and they videoed it. And then they put it on social media. So that's what gets us into trouble. So audience, as you're out there, please send your comments in to us. Be sure to share, like us if you will, and we appreciate your comments. That helps us know that you're out there. Over the weekend, First United Methodist Church of Frankfort sponsored a wonderful program called NetSmart, and it's provided by the Attorney General's Office. And Officer Matt Hedden was with us, and he shared some outstanding ideas related to internet safety and for all ages. This is really not just for youth. Greg, it's for all ages, wouldn't you say?
I would agree.
And he reminded us that messaging has really made it easy to talk about something that maybe later on we wished we hadn't. And now there are certainly all the other hidden temptations of photos and videos, and it's a kind of a crazy jungle out there. And so in our program tonight, we hope to provide you with some information ideas, important ideas and information. David is going to be typing in some ideas and some links that you may find helpful later on. And then as we get to the end, they're at the end of that. So anyway, as we get to the end, we will also talk about some rules of thumb to be safe on the internet. I want to bring Greg Hardison in here with us now. And Greg, you deal with youth and young people. You also are an employee of the Kentucky History Society. And one of the great ways that you all get the word out is through social media. I love following your Twitter accounts and your Facebook and that kind of thing. You're really active in the summertime with Camp Artifact and all that. But have you seen some issues related to social media?
Absolutely. Well, just in my own personal use, I'm as I was thinking about how to prepare for this discussion, I wear a lot of different hats. As a father, as a youth director with my wife, right. As an employee of the Kentucky Historical Society, all of those, and as a community member, as an active community member. I'm involved in a number of clubs and organizations and things, and I'm always thinking about how I'm putting myself out there and wanting to be as positive as I possibly can, and not reflecting on any of the organizations that I'm representing at any particular time, but communicating, just enough to where people are interested and, they find some value out of it. And then in my own personal life, I like to share photos of my kids because my parents don't live here in Kentucky. So my parents are able to benefit from things that I share about things that our family is doing. It makes my mom and dad feel a little bit more engaged, and friends that I have out of the state. But at the same time, it's that double-edged sword because, if I put something out there, and a good friend of mine warned me once when our family went on vacation, he said, as soon as you put that out there, other people that follow you know that you're not at your house at that moment. And I had never really thought about it that way.
But your friends might know, but then they may have friends who see that on their page, and they may have friends that see it on their page, and on and on and on. And suddenly somebody who's not a friend might see it and say, well, this is a good time to break into your house.
Absolutely. All of these social media things now have worked harder at that. I mean, there's still ways to get around it, but there are different settings for Facebook and all the social medias really, that can prevent what gets shared out there and how far it goes to an extent. But it's just like I tell my kids, if you, and you say it too, as soon as you put it out there, it can be grabbed in a number of different ways. Shot if you're on your phone and reshare it. Right. And so it happens, and it's happened with my own friends. Something that I posted, they would repost because, something I'd shared was either funny or thoughtful or something, and they wanted to reshare it out. And it made me kind of think of, oh, well, who are they sharing with, and how's that going to reflect back?
One of the things that we heard in the program the other day, the officer who was leading that program suggested that we try to, I don't know what the word is, but just rein in, if you will, the number of friends. He said, how many of you have 1,000 friends on Facebook? And several of us raised our hand. And he said, and you know all those people? And he said, and you're sending all of those people personal photographs of your grandchildren and that kind of thing. He said, they don't need to be seeing that. He said, you need to narrow that down, and you can do that with those buttons that you were talking about.
You just have to kind of get in and explore, and it's funny. I'll send you to another social media account that will allow you to find out, but they're on YouTube. There's all kinds of tutorials on ways that you can change the settings on individual posts or for the whole page. I manage a number of groups, too, within my social media, so I'm managing multiple accounts, and each one of them has settings that you can specialize.
We heard Sunday evening about all types of issues happening in a negative way from that, everything from sexting to scams and hacks and all kinds of things that are going on.
I don't know how many times on a weekly basis I get some proposal from some Russian woman, wanting to be my friend, and it's like, yeah, I have no idea who Olga is, but
That's interesting. Well, do any of our youth, you've got one here tonight who might have a story to tell us. Let's bring Bella on, and let's hear from her.
So as a youth director and as a father, one of the coolest parts about our job that Missy and I do is that we get to have our kids in the program with us, and we get a little bit more time with them. Now, I think Bella would agree that sometimes that could be, and my son Alex would agree too, that might be too much time that we're spending with them. They might like a little bit of freedom now and then, but with social media, what social media accounts do you use, Bella?
I have Instagram, Musical.ly, Snapchat, YouTube.
So, Musical.ly is kind of, Bella's able to lip sync along with things. She makes little funny videos of her singing, and
well, not me singing.
Well,
lip syncing.
Lip syncing. Okay.
But it's one of the ways you like to share. And have you had any experiences that were negative?
Nope, because I'm on private, so only people that I know I let follow. Or if Ava's best friend, I let Ava's best friend follow me because she knows them, and I know they're not going to be mean.
But if you have to kind of know them personally before you follow them.
It can't be somebody from Russia.
Have you ever had an adult or what you think is an adult try to friend you? Nothing like that?
Nope.
And with your settings, you said you have it set up so that only...
All of my accounts are private. My YouTube's private. I don't really post anything, but my Instagram's private. Snapchat's private. Everything's private. So it's...
Well, let me ask you a question. The other night, we heard a teacher say that she has a lot of students come in. This is a high school teacher. She said a lot of her students come to school and they're tired because they've been up all night practically texting
no,
one
Alex.
another.
That's not me.
Yeah.
That's Alex.
And they talked about some rules. They said, like a lot of families say, okay, your phone is going on the kitchen counter to be charged overnight. It's not going to bed with you.
I charge it in their room.
Yeah, okay.
So they know they can hear if I go in there and take it. So I can't do that.
Okay, can't do that. Okay. So, do you have a story to tell, though, about an issue related to texting?
To the cell phone. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Tell us that story.
So, one of the... As a father, we made a decision, and each family that we know does different choices on when they think their child should have a cell phone. And for us, it made sense for our family, for our children to get a cell phone once they were in middle school and they were in places where they were by themselves without us. And up until middle school, that never happened. But now Bella's in situations where she's by herself after school or with other students or a teacher, but she needs to communicate to us when she's done with an activity or whatever. And so that was the decision we made. And now that you've had one, there's been situation that's risen where you felt a little frustration with a friend.
Can you tell us that story?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Okay, so I had a friend. She's been my best friend since preschool. We were in dance class together. And all of a sudden she has... Okay, I don't know what I just was about to say. But she texted me and just kind of out of the blue, and she was kind of being mean. And I don't know, she has diabetes, so I don't know if it was like her sugar or something, but we still don't know. But she apologized eventually, but it took her a year to figure that out. But she texted me and she was like cussing me out and stuff. Mm-hmm. And I immediately, they were at Bible study and I was home. Alex was at work. And so I immediately texted and took screenshots, saved it, put it on, didn't put it on Do Not Disturb yet because I wanted them to see it before I did that. So she's blocked on everything and all that. But she texted me and she was cussing me out and stuff that I didn't like and didn't want, so I immediately screenshotted it, sent it to Mom, and they came rushing home. I was crying, I was in tears because she was my best friend. I didn't really expect her to do that, and it was not very fun. That whole night was a lot of tears and
so with stuff. That, do you think that would have erupted quite the same had you have been at school or face-to-face with her?
No, because she's always like super nice in person, but then like I feel like people, if they do it on like social media, they can't get in trouble right then. Nothing can happen. No one can get hit or anything because they're behind a screen that can protect them. But when they're face-to-face, they don't want to say anything because they could get hit. If somebody got mad, I wouldn't do that. But if they got hit, somebody got mad like that, they just didn't want to be rude in person, but they have that shield when it's online that they can just attack you and nothing can happen really.
I've heard that some young teenagers, it's nothing for them to wake up in the morning and have 300 or 400 text messages on their phone. They get into these group messages and lots of different things happen.
Bella had her dance team group message like that, and when they're setting up an event or something, she can
every
get 15
5 seconds
to 20
it's like
dings.
ding 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 ding.
Yeah.
It's so crazy.
That's nuts. That's nuts. David is on, I think it's under my name, but David's putting on some apps that are available. These are tested apps that I've checked out with some family and friends. That will help you, especially if you're young and your child is just beginning to be to that age where they're going to get a phone. You might want to monitor that and that can help you, and we want to be you as some of the things that you. Behind us, we've got a slide that we stole off the internet, and you see not everything's perfect because safety is not quite spelled right. But so it's so not everything on the internet is right or true, as they say. Yeah. You know? So anyway, we. I guess what I'm thinking about today is that every age group can be affected by this. We have a friend that she's on Facebook. She's been hacked sometimes nearly every week. I get a friend request from her, and I'm already her friend, you know. I told her about it the other day, in fact, and she said, well, I haven't been on Facebook in 3 or 4 years. So she didn't even know what's going on, you know. But, you know, when they get into that, that's how they get some of that private information that you don't necessarily want to hold down. Bella, appreciate you sharing the story with us, and we know there are a lot of stories out there, bullying. We know some of the results of that. Fortunately, you know, like suicides and things are not prevalent, but they do. And we want to just first of all reiterate that in our faith community, hatred, racism, those kinds of things are just not going to be acceptable in any way. And so, and this is another way, a form that those kinds of attitudes can be shared. We're at the end of our time already, but we're gonna talk a little bit about some rules of thumb. And David, I think, is using my other apparatus over there, and he's put them under my name. We're going to provide these for you, and feel free to comment on that. We really would appreciate that. Rule number 1 is do not, in any circumstance, interact with somebody you don't know. Now, we talked about that a little bit. So, like it or not, actually there are predators on Twitter and on Facebook, Snapchat, and Instagram, and any other of the websites or apps that kind of come along. We don't know what the future holds for that. And I know it's easy to think, well, this would never happen to me. But I'm going to say that for your own safety, don't interact with people that you don't know in real life. People are always out there looking for ways. Yeah. People are always out there looking for ways to find out your personal information, and they're very savvy about how they do that. So, as Bella said, block anybody that you don't know on your social media platform. So that's rule number 1. Don't deal with people you don't know. What's rule number 2?
Rule number 2: do not ever post a picture of yourself wearing or not wearing anything that you wouldn't wear in public. I know
or in front of your parents or grandparents.
Right. I know that sounds pretty harsh and unnecessary, but you've got to be careful about what kinds of images of yourself you're sharing with the world. And I'm going to say it's important even after Snapchat, where it's supposedly goes away after it's been seen, to remember this rule. If it goes on the webosphere, it never ever really goes away.
And
it is there.
Screenshot it, so it's always somewhere.
Even if you're snapping a close friend of the same, putting out the World Wide Web.
I don't know that much about Snapchat, but I understand that isn't that supposed to go away as soon as you read it?
It does,
but
you can still.
Yeah, still out there.
On your story, it goes away in 24 hours. Delete it, but the FBI still has it.
Yeah, it's still out there somewhere. All right. Rule number 3: do not chat late at night. Actually, I made for young people, but I know a lot of adults that are sticking out there late at night, and I hear the phone ding, 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 ding. Oh, I didn't say that, did I? Surely not. But, you know, again, I said earlier, teachers are complaining that their students are coming to school tired. Employees are starting to complain that their workers are coming to work as tired and falling asleep at their desk. So we don't want anybody losing a job because they're on the social media, okay? All right?
All right.
Number 4.
Rule number 4: if someone is asking you to do or say something you don't feel good about, get out of that situation immediately.
Yeah, that's right.
The beauty of social media is that you can just literally turn it off. Your phone or your computer, set that thing aside for a little while. Don't hesitate to unblock or unfriend, to block or unfriend someone who makes you uncomfortable or that asks you to do something that you don't want to do. Those people are not worth your time. As Dr. Phil might say, you aren't going to love them to Jesus by sending them a selfie.
All right. So parents, talk to your children about that. Remind them that if somebody's out of line asking your child for something that they feel like is inappropriate, they need to really feel comfortable talking to you about that. Bella, I'm really glad to hear that you have that relationship with your mom and your dad, and that's really good. The last rule that I want to share, what was that?
She knocked the lap.
Oh, gosh. Our set is falling apart here. Oh, okay. Rule number 5. Do not use social media interactions to show people the love of Christ. Or let me say it again. Do use social media interactions to show people the love of Christ. Like it or not, social media is a huge part of our life. And ourselves on those platforms can be a direct representation of Jesus Christ. And really, look at us. We're on Facebook. This is what we're doing. You know, last week we talked about the DACA deal. We had over 700 people viewed that program. And we hope and pray that we're reaching people all across the world with this. And so, but this is the way it works. You share, and then your friends begin to share it, and then another shares it, and it goes and goes and goes and goes. And so, anyway, you never know what you might say on Twitter or on Facebook. It just might change a life, and we pray that will happen. Well, we're out of time. Greg, thank you for being with us. Bella, thank you for being with us tonight. And thank you for being with us. We hope this has been helpful. It's just a fresh start of trying to deal with things as they really are in the world. But this is a good beginning, and I look forward to reading many of your comments as we in the next many days as we save this video and others see it and interact. God bless you.